You're listening to the Paul Young Podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another podcast of the Paul Young Podcast. And we're early in the year of 2025, and I'm going to do something that I normally don't think that I'll do, but I have a nudge. It may be for one. I'm going to read something that I've either read part of or most of or all of. I'm going to read it again. If it's only for one person or one family, is it worth doing? Of course it is. It's always been the one that matters. It's always been the one that is at the center of God's care and affection. You are the apple of God's eye. That is the iris, the center. I am too. I've been reading part of Jonathan Foster's book, Indigo, The Color of Grief. I have a feeling that by, sometime in the future, I will have read the whole book to you. It is one of those poetic books that touches the heart deeply. It's one of the best books I've ever read on the experience of grief. The death of Quincy, his daughter, happened right around New Year's, if not on New Year's Day. I don't know. I just felt like it was important today. I don't know if I'll have any comments to make. Probably not when I'm done. That's okay. This is Indigo, The Color of Grief, by Jonathan J. Foster. Early New Year's Day, the sun rose through the sky, barely noticed, draped as it was in gray, the color of wet tweed. I stood at the picture window, mother-in-law's house, hilltop overlooking the road that descended down and through barns, various shades of white, each one fading further and further and further into the mist. I sat and read Elie Wiesel's iconic book, Night. In the morning I read Night. I alternated between reading passages and looking out picture windows between shadowy edge of what I could understand. Scapegoating, Nazis, violence, dullness of war hung up on barbed wire fences, and the fogged-in edge of all I could see, trees like fingers down by the river reaching up to find the light. Wiesel's Night is a work of art, stunning, if not sickening. One story in particular materialized in my mind's eye. The entire camp made to march underneath 3 young Jewish men hanging. Wiesel writes about hearing a voice cry out as he passes underneath, "Where is God?" Then another voice said, "Where is God? He's hanging there on the gallows with those boys." I closed the book softly, reverently, and exhaled. Tried to imagine absurdity of such violence, tried to imagine the beauty of Wiesel's writing amid absurdity of such violence. Didn't reopen a book that day. I don't know. Seemed disrespectful to move on too quickly, to read further, to possibly forget what Wiesel wanted us to remember. So that call and response. Where is God? Where is God? He's hanging there on the gallows with those boys. Stuck with me throughout the day. It bounced around and caved somewhere inside, muted for a while, then reappeared. Wasn't trying to think about it, wasn't trying not to think about it. It just kept echoing. Making the bed, cleaning the dishes, walking the dog. Where is God? Where is God? He's hanging on the gallows with those boys. Midday. Activities revolved around our girl preparing to leave. She was traveling to meet her friend's family, a boy. It was her first trip like this, traveling to meet her friend's family, a boy. She packed bags, loaded the car, said goodbye a couple of times. She was eager to leave, but wasn't leaving. She walked by another time or two before I recognized she was probably anxious. It was sweet or cute or fun. Yeah, I think fun is the word. Like, it's really fun to be a parent and experience your kid experience something new. I nodded her direction, said, "Are you nervous?" Her eyes burnished, blue and deep, reminiscent of first time I saw her. Birthing room, baby warming oven thing. I left her mom's side and walked over to meet her huge coal of eyes, searching, blinking, slow motion, tractor beam pulling me in, my heart thumping or breaking in love. I was 26, healthy, confident, and had no idea until she looked at me how vulnerable I was. Within a few days, her eyes transitioned into something blue, something for which I had no name, though in recent years I've been thinking the blue as undomesticated and marine. Her life, too. Yeah, storms of wildness, oceanic shades of laughter, stormy depths of brooding. She was exhausting and fun. Twain wrote about his daughter, said she was a magazine of feelings, and they were of all kinds and shades of force. And she was so volatile as a little child, and sometimes the whole battery came into play in the short compass of a day. Joy, sorrow, anger, remorse, storm, sunshine, rain, darkness, they were all there. They came in a moment, and they were gone as quickly. Sounds about right. So I caught her eye, said, "Are you nervous?" "Yes," she laughed. "I'm nervous." And we hugged again, and then she left. Late, New Year's Day afternoon, about the time we expected the phone to ring, it didn't. Phones not ringing make parents uneasy. We logged into a few sites, made a few calls, realized the weather where she was headed had turned icy. The house throbbed with anxiety. I was back at the picture window, pacing, searching for signs. Anything that might bring news about car wrecks, about ice storms, about survivors of car wrecks in ice storms. Down by the river, trees like fingers reached to grab the last horizontal of burnt orange indigo as everything faded to black. Headlights turned off the highway, turned past an empty field, dotted with a few shivering corn stalks. Stomach turned too. Hope and fear was like pushing brake pedal and gas pedal at the same time. I longed to hear news about my daughter, but I knew highway patrolmen did not stop by farmhouses at sunsets on New Year's Day to bring good news. Headlights bounced across cattle grate, bounced across cows refulgent, wide-eyed, trying to get out of the way. Headlights grew stronger up the hill, lost for a moment in darkness, then straight at farmhouse, straight at picture window, straight at me, bowed head. Highway patrolman stepped inside with his back against the wall. He faced us. He gripped and re-gripped the edge of his hat that slowly turned as he spoke in soft, short, controlled, khaki sentences. Then he took the slightest step backwards, I think to create space to soften the blow. Bless the people who do these things. Try and create space. Try and soften the blow. Be the first to let a family know it's forever a fraction. He paused, said, "She didn't make it." And then, everything is breaking open. Pain calling to pain, deep calling to deep. After some time passed, I don't know how much time because it's all jumbled up for a bit, like the system has glitched, and I'm seeing her in pixelated cracks of light, hearing her in distorted patches of audio, and simultaneously seeing, hearing my family all around me, 4/5. But after some time passed, I don't know how much time because it's all jumbled up for a bit, audio in distorted patches of hearing her, light in pixelated cracks, and I'm seeing her like the system is glitched. After some time passed, I leaned up against something, and craziest thing, that call and response I'd been hearing all day. Where is God? Where is God? He's hanging there on the gallows with those boys. I heard it again. Except this time I heard, where was God? Where was God? He was in that car, dying with Quincy. Interpretation of such ridiculous news offered up by voices in one's head during times of duress should probably be avoided. Honestly, I should be silent and be still. Let it be. But I can't resist. I don't know why. Maybe fear the whole thing would be co-opted by special interest groups. Or maybe it's a natural response, like rubbing your shoulder after running into a doorway or something. This is the most severe of doorways. Maybe I feel responsibility as a dad, human future ancestor, to be present to this thing, to figure it out. Maybe it's arrogance. Maybe it's all the above. Whatever the motivation, I heard something. And though the sound I heard, this voice that Eli Wiesel introduced to me, this thing that emerged in my life or out of my life, from his story into my story, now into your story, gave no details about what it means when gods are dying with young people on gallows and in car wrecks. Gave no details about what comes next, like if hope wins, or if we're all just fingers reaching to grab the last horizontal slice of burnt orange indigo as everything fades to black. Gave no details about anything other than God being present to us in death. What's not lost on me is there was a voice. Could it have been a voice placed there by Wiesel's story? Like, could his story about God with those boys in death have primed me to imagine God with my daughter in death? Yes, I think so. Could it have been a kind of neurological hallucination? Yes, I think so. Could it have been an expression of love? Yes, I think so.